good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region and of those whose interest you have committed to us. Amen. Amen.
Agenda item number 2 in the order paper, communication from the chair.
Good afternoon, honorable members. But someone has not muted their microphones. It has to be fixed first. Is there anyone with a challenge muting their microphones? Okay, then we can proceed. Okay.
Agenda item number 3 in the order paper, laying of papers.
Chair, Council of Ministers.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this House EC vote on account for the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021, sir.
First of all, let me be, thank you. Let me be sure about the procedure we are taking. Isn't it for the committee chair to lay the report first?
Yes.
Chair,
correct, Honorable. Yes, Honorable Noor.
Honorable Speaker, I think the paper, the Council of Ministers has laid the paper yesterday, and yes. I think what should happen is laying of the report by the chair is the correct thing before we move to the motion.
Yes, exactly, and this is what I had directed should be done. You know, so Mr. Clark, I asked that the council, the committee chair should lay the report first. So I don't know why you didn't amend the report, the notes. So, committee chair, Honorable Abdikadir.
Honorable Speaker.
Before then, I think Honorable Noor, it is chair, committee chair lays the report, and then because
the chair council moves motion
was laid yesterday. The council moves the motion.
Yes.
And the committee delivers the report.
Yes.
That is the chronology. Yes.
Correct.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Proceed, Honorable Abdikadir.
Yeah, correct. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Committee on General Purpose on the request to approve the vote on account for the financial year 2020-2021. I beg to lay. It's coming. Because I'll read this one, but I'll give you in a minute.
This is the one you lay. When you lay, it's the class which takes over.
Yeah, I will give them. So, I have laid. I have laid, Honorable Speaker. I think now you can continue.
Agenda item number 4 in the order paper, motion for a resolution of the Assembly to constitute itself into a committee of supplies to consider and approve a vote on account for financial year 2020-2021.
Please repeat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that this House resolves to constitute itself into a committee of supply to bottom account to cater for the first quarter expenses of EAC for the financial year 2020-2021.
Buraburi. Wacha simu.
Do we need to adjourn briefly for you to sort out your gadgets, switch off the microphones or whatever? Because it is becoming so.
No. We can continue, Honorable Speaker.
Are we ready to proceed with our session?
Yes.
We are ready.
We are ready.
Then if we are ready, if you are not on the floor, you mute your microphone. And you are not on the phone when your microphone is on. Yes. Is this kind of a motion required to be seconded? Seconders?
Yes, Speaker, your guidance, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, seconder. Honorable Jematia, Honorable Adenur, and all members whose hands are up. Thank you. Clerk.
You call the right on the minister to justify his motion.
At what point, you will bear with me, honorable members, because my notes are already confused. I can't use them anymore. So at what point are we receiving the report from the committee chair? Isn't it at this point?
After the minister.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Minister, proceed and justify.
Honorable Speaker, sir, whereas the community laws require that the Council of Ministers pursuant to Article 132 into brackets 2 of the treaty for the establishment of the East African Community present the budget estimates in a timely manner, and in turn the Assembly passes the EAC budget estimates not later than 30th June. These are not been possible. There are few options to address the situation. For example, under Section 12 of the Budget Act 2008, the Speaker may in writing reduce or extend any period and the Act for any reasonable period. The request to extend the period would be in respect of any of the following provisions that have not been strictly adhered to with, and where so adhered to have not been produced the expected results, namely A, Section 4 of the Budget Act, which requires that the chairperson of the council to present the budget to the Assembly by 30th April, and B, prior to the presentation, Section 3 of the Budget Act reads that the Secretary General is by 15th October of each financial year required to prepare the budget of the community and submit it to the Council of the Ministers for its consideration. Honorable Speaker, sir, under normal circumstances, the Assembly is expected to pass the budget not later than 30th June of each year. In this year, 2020, the situation has not been normal because of the COVID-19 pandemic and other constraints that I explained to you yesterday, sir, which made it difficult for the Council of the Ministers to meet in a timely manner and all the budget estimates before submitting the Assembly for consideration. The Council of Ministers is no doubt committed to convening at the earliest opportunity to address these and related matters, no later than next week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Budget Act 2008 provides a redress to this difficult situation, namely, A, under Section 6 of the Budget Act, the Assembly may approve a vote on accounts every financial year to enable normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the new year before the approval of the budget, as long as this vote on account does not exceed 1/3 of the budget. And B, under Section 1(2) of the Budget Account 2008, allow the Speaker in writing to reduce or extend any period under the Budget Act for a reasonable period. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Council Chair. I think it is at this point that I have to call the chairperson of the General Purpose Committee to present the report. Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, is one of the organs of the East African Community established under Article 9 of the Treaty for the establishment of the East African Community. The treaty bestows upon the Assembly three cardinal functions: legislation, oversight, representation, and representation. In exercise of its legislative and oversight functions, Honorable Speaker, I beg to request that the clerk can maybe broadcast this report as I am reading it.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
If that is possible,
maybe I can give
it'll be easy
a
for
minute
us.
or two, a bit to allow
Mr. Clark,
that.
Mr. Clark, is that possible to project it on the...
Chairperson, Right Honorable Speaker, the session is being broadcast live.
Yeah, but we wanted to see it on the screen.
No, I mean to say that my
what you
report
mean?
on the screen here for the
Yes.
members to see what I'm reading.
Exactly, that is what you mean.
The report is not like that.
Is it possible?
I think
Right Honorable Speaker, Kampala can project, our colleagues in Kampala can project, because we don't have the report on this side.
Aha. So, Kampala has the report. In the meantime, Honorable Abdikadir, you can proceed as the IT people get ready to project it on our screens. In the meantime, we will try to be attentive and follow you.
Thank you. As you are giving me instructions, guidance, I have also forwarded the same on email to our clerk, our clerk in Mr. Kadonya in Arusha. Now you have the report. You can broadcast it. It is on your email now. Display. So my apologies, Honorable Speaker. Let me just in the introduction of the report. Yes, thank you very much. This is the introduction of the report. The East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, is one of the organs of the East African Community established under Article 9 of the Treaty for the establishment of the East African Community. The treaty bestows upon the Assembly three cardinal functions: legislation, oversight, and representation. In the exercise of its legislative and oversight function, the Assembly debates and passes the budgets of the community. The Assembly largely exercises its legislative and oversight functions through its committees. In particular, the Committee on General Purpose is charged with, among others, the scrutiny of the EAC budget estimates for the report before the report is presented to the House for consideration. Article 49(2)(b) and Article 132 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community enjoin the Assembly to debate and approve the budget of the East African Community. The Council of Ministers is enjoined by Article 14(e) and Article 132(2) of the treaty to prepare and submit the same budget to the Assembly for approval. These functions are further amplified in the East African Community Budget Act 2008. Honorable Speaker, on the background, at its sitting held on 28th June 2020, the Chairperson, Council of Ministers, made a request to the Assembly to approve a vote on account amounting to $29,402,292 to enable the normal operation of the community in the first quarter for the financial year 2020-2021.
Information. Chair, I think there's an error. It wasn't 28, it was 29 June, yesterday.
Yes, but maybe you should have done that correction in the debate.
Thank you.
But it's okay. Thank you for sharing that information. Chair, you have seen where the error is?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is rightful guidance. I'm continuing with that. A breakdown of the amount requested for is contained in the letter of the Secretary General to the Right Honorable Speaker dated 28th June 2020 as indicated below. Here, Honorable Speaker, the table that you have here shows the budget for 2020, what what is purported to be said to be a budget for 2020-2021 estimates. And on the right of that table, you have the vote on account, the amount which is being requested for. So in terms of description, you see the EAC Secretariat says that in the substantive full year budget for 2020-2021, their allocation is that amount of 17,466,000 US dollars, 257. Other revenues that the Secretariat expects amounts to 462,000 US dollars, 772, and development 21,172,543, which totals to Secretariat at 39,101,570 US dollars. The East African Community, East African Courts of Justice is allocated, is said to be allocated. These again are estimates, as you will see, that have neither been considered by Council nor seen by this Assembly. But I'm just reading the numbers as presented yesterday by the Secretary General. In that he says an allocation of 3,970,406 has been given to the courts, which remains the same amount, that amount, no other income. The East Africa Legislative Assembly is allocated 16,755,000 US dollars, 725. No any other revenues, therefore the same amount remains the same. Lake Victoria, 2,789,103, and from development account, the vote they expect 5,590,954, which totals to 8,380,057. In East African Science and Technology is said to have been allocated in the estimates yet to be tabled 1,526,751 US dollars. Additional revenue is expected of 10,000 US dollars, which brings the amounts to 1,536,751. The East Africa Kiswahili Commission is said to be in the estimates which we are yet to see to have 1,389,318, and a further revenue of 10,000 is expected, for which therefore their total expected estimates is 1,399,318. The East Africa Health Research Commission is allocated 1,870,520, an additional revenue of 9,080 US dollars is expected for them as well, and that totals to 1,879,600 US dollars. Before I leave this page, or maybe I can scroll further down, the East African Competition Authority is said under that estimates to have 1,128,240 US dollars. No other revenue expected, and therefore the amount expected for them is 1,128,240. The Inter-University Council is expected to receive under that estimates 3,969,898. Additional revenue of 2,394,910 is expected. Further additional revenue from development partners of 4,612,468 US dollars is expected, and therefore in total the Inter-University Council is projected to have in that estimates an amount of US dollars 10,977,276. Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization, the estimated budgets yet to be seen is reported to have an amount of 1,945,938 in respect of this institution. A further revenue from development partners of 1,131,996 US dollars is expected, bringing the total to 3,077,934 US dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, if I scroll back up again, because now I want to go to the right-hand side of that table, which is the vote on account. What are they asking for? In that, you will see that out of that amount, allow me, Right Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, if you may, for me to read the total that is being requested, or maybe let me break it down for record of the House. Secretariat is asking from the partner states contribution an amount of 5,000,000 822,086, and they from other revenues expected 154,257, and from development partners 7,057,514 US dollars. An amount total requested for on vote on account for financial year 2020-2021 by the Secretariat totals to 13,033,000 US dollars 857. The East African Courts of Justice is being requested for 1,323,469, which totals to the same. The East African Legislative Assembly is being requested for 5,585,242, which remains the same. No any other revenues expected. Lake Victoria Basin Commission is being requested for 929,701, with a further amount from development partners expected for 1,863,651 US dollars. Total amount expected for Lake Victoria Basin therefore becomes 2,793,352. The East African Science and Technology is requesting for 508,917 US dollars, with an additional revenue expected of 3,333 US dollars, bringing the total request and for on vote on account of 512,250. Kiswahili East African Kiswahili Commission is requesting for an amount of 463,109, with a further revenue of 3,333 US dollars, bringing the total request for Kiswahili Commission to 466,439 US dollars. The East African Health Research Commission is being requested for on this vote on account to spend 623,507 US dollars. An additional revenue of 3,027 US dollars is also requested for them, bringing their total to 626,533. Honorable Speaker, East African Competition Authority is being requested for an amount on vote on account to spend an amount of 379,080 US dollars. That amount remains the same. Inter-University Council is being requested for from the partner states contribution 1,323,299. Further revenue is expected for East Africa Inter-University Council of 798,303 US dollars. An amount expected from development partners of 1,537,486 is also being requested on behalf of this institution, bringing their total request to 3,659,092. Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization is being requested for an amount of 648,646, with a further amount of 377,332 expected from the development partners. Their total request for them on vote of account expenditure, therefore, for quarter one is 1,025,978 US dollars. In total, therefore, Honorable Speaker, from the projections given to us, Secretariat expects an amount of 52,812 156 as the amount that is expected to be received from partner states, and some revenue is also supposed to come of an amount of 2,866,000 US dollars 760, and development partners are expected to contribute to that financial year, those estimates are said to have 32,507,961 US dollars, bringing therefore the total estimates expected to be brought before Council and before the House to, as said by the letter of the Secretary General, to be 88,206,000 US dollars 877. Out of that, Honorable Speaker, a request is being made out of the contribution of partner states. It's being asked that an amount of 17,604,052 be granted for vote on account to be spent in Q1 of 2020-2021 financial year. Also, an amount of 962,253 is being requested to be spent on vote on account in Q1 of 2020-2021 financial year from other revenues expected. From the development partners, an amount of 10,835,987 is also being requested for expenditure on vote on account. Total, therefore, Honorable Speaker, an amount of 29,402,292 is being asked for by the Secretary General to be granted, or by Chair Council, to be granted for expenditure on vote on account in Q1 of the financial year 2020-2021. The Right Honourable Speaker referred the above request to the Committee on General Purpose for further scrutiny. The committee considered the matter and hereby presents its report to the House for consideration. In terms of methodology, Honourable Speaker, if the clerk can roll the screen up, in terms of methodology, during the consideration for the request of the approval of a vote on account 2019, vote on account 2019, the committee held a virtual meeting with the Secretary General, the Council to the community, and heads of the relevant EAC organs and institutions. 2, reviewed the request for approval of vote on account alongside the treaty of the EAC, the EAC Budget Act, and the EAC Financial Rules and Regulations, and prepared the report on this subject matter. The findings and observations of the committee. In terms of findings, Mr. Speaker, and findings, the committee made the following observations. Number 1, during the preparation and consideration of the budget, the Assembly, the Council of Ministers, and the Secretary General are required to comply with the timelines stipulated in the Budget Act, which includes the following. A, under Section 3 of the Budget Act, the Secretary General is by the 15th October of each financial year required to prepare the budget of the community and submit it to the Council for consideration. B, Section 4 of the Budget Act requires the Chairperson Council of Ministers to present the EAC budget to the Assembly by the 30th day of April. Under the same Act, the Assembly is required to pass the EAC budget estimates not later than the 30th of June. Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Aden, there is one chapter that has been cut off. And because they have officially communicated that they are not connected, technically it would be a challenge for us to proceed without addressing that first. So IT people, what is happening with the Kampala?
Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm connected.
Yes, are you in the same location with your colleagues?
No, I'm not.
So I think the group that is in the EAC ministry.
Yeah, the EAC ministry.
Exactly.
Conference room is not connected.
That is where we have a problem. And how many members? I mean, I don't know whether we can just proceed and they will catch up with us or.
Right, Honourable Speaker.
Yes,
I think the Republic of South Sudan also is not connected.
No, I can see them.
Yeah, but yes, the voice.
It's only one member who is complaining.
The voice is not connected. We are
there. So, can we maybe Mr. Kadonya?
Right, Honourable Speaker, there is a power cut at the Ministry of EAC in Kampala. They are trying to use, I think, a generator, something of that sort.
So I think we can proceed with the report in the hope that they will be connected soon before we make a final determination. Is that okay? Because they have a report anyway. Yes. Honourable Abdikadir.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In page 4, as of today, the 30th of June 2020, the Council of Ministers has not presented to the Assembly, the EAC, budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. This has serious implications on the effective functioning of the organs and institutions of the community. The Assembly, through the EALA Commission, engaged the Council of Ministers and the Secretary General on this matter. Nonetheless, the Council of Ministers has not indicated when the budget estimates will be presented to the Assembly. Number 3, Regulation 29(1) of the EAC Financial Rules and Regulations 1 stipulates that appropriations shall be available to meet obligations for the financial year to which they relate, and Rule 29(2) further states that the appropriation shall remain available for 3 months following the end of the financial year to which they relate, in so far as they are required to discharge obligations in respect of goods, supplies, and services rendered during the financial year which they have not been settled.
Yeah, you close the
Honorable Dr. Woda, you are interfering with the presentation of the report because you have not muted your microphone. And I can see Uganda chapter is back. They were back and they are off again. Dr. Woda, mute your microphone, please.
Okay, I'm doing so, Honorable Speaker, because I was just connected. I was not.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Abdikadir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Number 4, under exceptional circumstances, the Assembly or the Speaker may invoke certain provisions of the Budget Act when the Council of Ministers or the Assembly is unable to meet the set timelines. They include the following. Section 6, that's A. Section 6 of the Act provides that the Assembly may approve a vote on account every financial year to enable the normal operations of the community in the first quarter of the new financial year before the approval of the budget. The vote on account shall not exceed 1/3 of the total budget of the community or any of its institutions. B. Section 12 of the Budget Act provides that the Speaker may in writing reduce or extend any period under this Act for a reasonable period. Honorable Speaker, while the committee appreciates the need to invoke Section 6 of the Budget Act, it will be irregular to invoke this provision when the Chairperson Council of Ministers has not presented the EAC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021 as required by Article 132(2) of the Treaty and Section 4 of the Budget Act. The Assembly cannot be an accomplice in the commission of such an illegality. When asked for advice on the legality of passing a vote on account under the current circumstances, this is what the committee did this morning, the Council to the community informed the committee that it will be illegal for the Assembly to proceed and approve this request before the Chair Council of Ministers tables before the House the budget estimates as per the requirements of the treaty and the EAC Budget Act. Number 6, it would be speculative for the Assembly to approve a vote on account amounting to $29,402,292 at a time when the Council of Ministers has not met nor even set a date for a meeting to consider and approve the budget estimates. Number 7, while the Secretary General noted that failure to pass a vote on account will lead to paralysis of the community operations, this proposition is not tenable because the community will continue to operate normally under the provisions of Regulation 29(1) of the EAC Financial Rules and Regulations and Regulation 2, it should read 2 there, Honorable Speaker, which stipulates that appropriation shall be available to meet obligations for the financial year to which they relate to. And Rule 29(2) further states that the appropriation shall remain available for 3 months following the end of the financial year to which they relate insofar as they are required to discharge obligations in respect of goods, supplies, and services rendered during the financial year which they have not been paid. And the final observation there, the committee registered its displeasure over the failure by the Secretary General to appropriately guide and offer the necessary technical support to the Council of Ministers in timely preparation and presentation of the EAC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. Therefore, the crisis the community has been plunged into is a creation of the Secretary General, but not the Assembly. In terms of recommendations, the committee would like to make the following recommendations. Number one, the Assembly will stay the request for approval or vote of account until such a time when the Chairperson Council of Ministers present the EAC budget estimates for the financial year 2020-2021. Just for the clarity of record, Honorable Speaker, in simple English, the committee rejects the request on vote on account. Number two, the committee urges the Secretary General and the Council of Ministers to always comply with the provisions of the treaty and the EAC Budget Act in regards to the preparation and presentation of the budget to the Assembly. And number three, the committee urges the Right Honourable Speaker to consider invoking Section 12 of the EAC Budget Act 2008 to extend the period for the consideration of the EAC Budget Act for the financial year 2020-2021. Honourable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you, Honourable Abdikadir. Honourable members, the motion before the House is that this Assembly do resolve to constitute itself into a committee of supply, to approve a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the EAC for the financial year 2020-2021. Debate is open. Honorable Fancy, Honorable Makame, Honorable Noor, Honorable Dr. Oburu. I will pick the next list after. Did you hear the list I picked? I said Honorable Fancy, Honorable Dr. Makame, Honorable Noor, Honorable Dr. Oburu.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg Honorable Makame to start, then I'll come after him.
Okay, I thought you had requested. Okay, Honorable Dr. Makame.
I had requested, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to really thank my colleague, Honorable Fancy, for allowing me to proceed. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to, at the outset, state that I'm a member of the General Purpose Committee, and I fully support the report submitted here by our able chair, Honorable Abdul Qadir Aden Omar, for we had really deliberated on the submission by the council to vote on account, and we support every recommendation that arises from it. Mr. Speaker.
Procedure, Mr. Speaker. Procedure, sir.
Honorable Mary.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, Kampala is not connected. I'm the only one, and I'm not sure that does not raise the issue of quorum. We need to be advised on how to proceed.
So basically, you are raising the issue of quorum.
Yes,
and,
Right Honorable.
And when that happens, I always ask the clerk to ascertain the quorum and advise. Clerk, do we have quorum? You don't have to go through the rituals of counting, but do we have quorum based on what you see?
Right, Honorable Speaker, currently we don't have a quorum because we only have one member from Uganda.
Yes, then what happens? For how long do we suspend the House for the quorum to be realized?
Right, Honorable Speaker, it's 15 minutes.
Yes, I suspend the House for 15 minutes. In the meantime, efforts should be done to make sure that the Uganda chapter is back in the House. Thank you.
Thanks, Right Honorable.
I suspend for 15 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. Apologies to our colleagues from Uganda because of the inconvenience you have gone through. So I think we had opened the debate, and Honorable Makame was on the floor. Honorable Makame, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I was thanking, first of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity to raise voice on this important motion. And I was informing the House that I'm a member of the GP, of the General Purpose Committee, and that I'm in full support of the report submitted by the chairman of the committee, Honorable Abdikadir Aden Omar. I was also thanking my sister for allowing me to air my view first. So, Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, we are seeing serious issues in terms of breach of the Treaty of the East African Community and its resulting protocols and laws and rules and regulations. Mr. Speaker, the Budget Act specifically sets timelines, and the financial rules and regulations set timelines of the budgeting process, which is, Mr. Speaker, the heart, it is the soul, it is the bloodline, it is the oxygen of the operations of the community. So we cannot afford suspending the budget for any reason, because what we saw, Mr. Speaker, the partners, what did they do? We had the curfews, we had the shutdowns, but the partner states nonetheless carried on with the budgets,
Uganda,
and
please,
passed the budgets,
please,
and now they're implementing the budget at the partner states. So these very same ministers went to present their budgets in the partner state assemblies and had their budgets passed. But for this community, it was left like an orphan. It is not a good practice, and I was thinking maybe the council would convene yesterday or even last month to address this matter. Mr. Speaker, when we are breaching the Budget Act, the ones which was enacted by this assembly, of which the council is part, an integral part of the assembly, they are official members here, and the act was assented by the heads of state. I think we need to make very important resolutions about this practice, that it should never recur in the practice of the community again. That said, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure, Mr. Speaker, if we are having the accounting officer of the community, the Secretary General, in the chamber. Because, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, when we were deliberating the matter and when the SG came with the proposal that we should come with a vote on account, the Secretary General informed the House, and it is in record, Mr. Speaker, that the Secretariat, as wages, is going to advance EALA an amount of funds of $82,500 so that EALA can be able to pay salaries for June, but the Secretariat has sufficient funds to pay salaries for June and July. Now that really made me very puzzled, Mr. Speaker, because from what I know and from what we all know is that we all of us have funds that end on 30th June. Expenditure from 1st of July onwards is yet to be appropriated. So where are the salaries for July coming from? And yet, an organ of the community is suffering for having not paid due emoluments for services rendered to the community by staff and members is still not, I mean, the members are not paid, the staff are not paid, and then there is some saving of salaries for July. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd really like the Secretariat to make a pronouncement on this, and if possible, with the directives and guidance, maybe those funds can be used to pay the members that use and pay the staff that use for the enrollment of the services rendered to the community. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Makame. Honorable members, we don't have much time to debate, so I will request you, those who will have the floor, to really try and be brief so that we can have more members getting an opportunity to contribute, because we don't have much time. Yes, Honorable Fancy, then Honorable Nur.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance also to add my voice to this very important discussion that we're having here today. Right Honorable Speaker, I will just go straight to the what I want to say. The budget, I know that the budget estimate was supposed to be presented to the Assembly since 30th of April. And even though we were and we are still passing through the COVID-19 pandemic challenges, but partner state government has not stopped working, has never stopped working, and national parliament have already passed their budget. They did everything, even the technocrats from the national parliament. They sat, they prepared the estimates, and they did everything on time. Right Honorable Speaker, if we go to the Budget Act, Section 3 directs the Secretary General to do the same as the technocrats in our partner state, to prepare the budget estimate of the community by 15th of October. And on 30th April, Council Chair was supposed to present that to the Assembly. And finally, we can pass that budget on or before 30th June. Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak right now, if you check on the screen, Secretary General is nowhere to be found. That means whatever we discuss here does not of his concern completely. Imagine we are discussing issue like finding way forward on community budget. How are we going to handle it? How are we going to do it on this situation? But Secretary General maybe somewhere having coffee. Indeed, we have a most unprofessional Secretary General ever. Right Honorable Speaker, as Chair of General Purpose said, this crisis of the community is about to face is a creation of Secretary General. And in fact, the Council have not been able to control the Secretary General to do his work. Since March, Right Honorable Speaker, we have been working, we have been doing our duty as members of this Assembly, but since March until today, we have not been paid. And no one among Council or Secretariat has even tried to address our issue of our arrears. Right Honorable Speaker, I am not supporting the motion on vote of accounts. In fact, I want to support and urge you to invoke Section 12 of the Budget Act to extend the time for us to go through the budget estimate and finally pass it. Right Honorable Speaker, because of the time, I would like to submit and end up here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really like the way you are being brief. Please continue with that. Those who are coming next. Honorable Nur.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I want to oppose the motion before the House that
a resolution of Assembly to constitute itself into a committee of supply for consideration of approval of vote on account for financial year 2020-2021. I do hereby oppose as follows. Honorable Speaker, this is a house of rules. And those rules that in the budget process, the rules are very clear on what process is to be followed. And it has given a gap, a very ample time for those who have been mandated to prepare the budget and present it to the council. Honorable Speaker, October 15th up to date is 9 months, 9 good months. The Secretariat had time, ample time, to present this budget to the council. And then come the COVID issue of 3 months. We have had, as an assembly, I think this must be the 3rd plenary that we are having within the COVID period. And the council has that ability, this facility, and all that's available to us now to deliberate on this budget and present it on time by 30th of April. In the failure of presenting the budget, what next, Honorable Speaker? What next should have been to request for the extension of the process as per stipulated under Section 12 of the budget of the East African Community Act, Budget Act. So we never anticipated and we never expected to have this kind of document, Honorable Speaker. Despite the fact that I know we just legalized through the back door by allowing the council chair to present this document before the House or tabling it before the House. Look at the authenticity of the letter itself. Where on earth a budget can be discussed by a letter from the Secretary General? And what mandate does the Secretary General has to directly write to the Assembly without passing through the Council? So therefore, from the word go, whatever we're discussing is the legality, because despite the fact he's the chair of the Council who tabled the report, the request yesterday, but it never changed the content because the owner of the document still remains the Secretary General. That is legality number one. Number two, Honorable Speaker, from the report of the Committee 401A, the budget is supposed to be presented by 15th. Did the Council explain, or did the Secretariat explain, or did the Council ever bother to find out why was it not presented to them by October 15th? 9 months along the line, because we are in June, this year 6 months, last year 3 months, that is 9 months, 9 good months. And the Council either never bothered, or the Secretariat never bothered to look for the Council to present this prepared budget to them. It is a mandate of the Secretariat to prepare the budget. It's a mandate of the Council to recommend it to the Assembly. It's a mandate of the Council or of the Assembly to approve the budget. That is the process. In the absence of that, Honorable Speaker, we have to call a spade a spade. Who is sleeping on the job? Who is sleeping on the job? This is not the first time. I think we have to call a spade a spade. Somebody, the head must roll on this kind of situation, whereby we are put in this situation by individuals. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, to be very brief, as you have said, as we observed in our committee observations, Roman 4A, the issue of shutdowns is neither here or there. We have looked at it as a committee. There are leeways, there are rules, there are rooms that this community, for those who have anything to spend, have 3 more months to spend, July, August, up to September 30th. And within these 3 months, if we are very serious, we cannot be able to process and prepare this budget and pass it. Therefore, rather than pushing us to the wall that we have to pass an illegality, we have ways to legalize it, that we extend the extension of the process of budgeting as per recommendation 3 of the committee, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, we should not be able to set a very wrong precedent. What happens, Honorable Speaker, if we pass this vote on accounts? And then what happens next? If the Secretary General and the Council decide to stay another 9 months without bringing the budget, what happens? Who is supposed to crack the whip? We don't know. So for some of us who have been legislators for a long time, we have never had such a situation. But these rules have been made for the purpose of such a situation to occur. Therefore, Rule 12 should be applied, and I don't know whether even the Secretary General has really requested for that extension, rather than rushing with the vote on accounts. They are not even guiding even the Council that this is the process. In the absence of presenting this budget on time, then we have got this leeway in this room for the extension of the assembly or the process through the Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Chair, I can see we are running out of time, and there are so many members who want to contribute. Because of those factors, because of the factor of shutting down is not there, because we have a room to extend the assembly for the process to take its own course. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we reject in totality this motion before the House.
Thank you, Honorable Noor. Maybe to clear one question you raised, you are wondering whether the request to extend the time of budgeting was done. For purposes of the record, yes. Some time back, I received a letter requesting for extension of time, and I directed the clerk to find out from the Secretariat how much time, how much extension they needed, because I was not going to grant open-ended extension. So I did not respond because that clarification was not given. That is for the purposes of the question. Honorable Dr. Oburu.
See?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't want to take a lot of time because I know other members want to contribute, and we already contributed on this subject before. And from the outset, Mr. Speaker, I would like to oppose the motion by the Minister for the House to dissolve into a committee of Ways and Means to consider the vote on account. Mr. Speaker, I'm doing so with very heavy heart, Mr. Speaker, because really we are friends of the Minister, we want to be friends of the Council, we want to be friends of the SG, but Mr. Speaker, not at the expense of us violating laws. Acts of Parliament which we have established ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we want to be polite as possible. But Mr. Speaker, when issues come before us, that the Council is supposed to table the estimates, the printed estimates from the Council after having considered it from the Secretariat. Now, the Minister comes without any estimate, only presents a request, which is just a table of figures prepared by the Secretariat for us to consider. And there is nothing before this House, Mr. Speaker, for us to consider. There is nothing before us to consider. So when the Secretary General decides to write to Mr. Speaker, asking him, talking about the vote on account to enable normal operations of the community, the first quarter. Now, this must be based on a budget. It must be based on a budget. So if the budget is not there, then writing to the Speaker actually was, this letter, Mr. Speaker, if I were you, I would not have considered it because it was illegal. It should not have come to you. It is the Council to present the estimates. It is not the Secretary General to bypass the Council and then come to you directly, to write to you and start to convince you to to present an illegality before the assembly. I think they should have followed the right channel to do this so that things flow. Now, Mr. Speaker, I also don't buy the argument of COVID. Because, Mr. Speaker, through my experience, I know that budget cycles start immediately after the budget is adopted. After the end of the financial year, when you start the next financial year, by August, everything is set. And everybody is working on the budget immediately. And so that by October, the budget should be ready. It should have been presented. Where was COVID at that time? In October, was there COVID?
No.
I never even thought there could be a pandemic to affect the country. So where was this SG? Where was the whole secretariat? What was happening? Why did they not present that budget to the council in October last year? And then, Mr. Speaker, to even make it worse, the assembly was supposed to have received this budget by April. Now, we are at the end of June, and even the council is still not in possession of that budget, because I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, if that budget was with the council yesterday when the minister, who is new, was presenting that piece of paper to us, he should have...
Dr. Oburu, you are raising a very important point, and I want to interrupt you. Let us have it on record. Council Chair, do you have budget estimates in the council?
Honorable Speaker, I don't have it.
CTC. CTC. Are you in a position to tell?
Shame.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, I did want to ascertain at what level, and anybody can help. If the council chair is not able to do that, the CTC can help. At what stage is it, this process? Where is it so far? Honorable Abdikadir. Honorable Dr. Oburu, you are still on the floor, but
Honorable Speaker, thank you. We asked this same question today to the Director of Finance. And the answers they gave us, Honorable Speaker, I don't even know how to present it to the members. They say it is not in our hands either. It is with some guys called F&A. Now, in the processes of all our laws, there are only three players in the process of the budget making. The Secretariat, which is supposed to prepare those estimates, the Council, and the Assembly. The Secretariat is saying, we gave it to F&A, which there is no basis in law that is required for that to happen. There is something on the rules, financial rules and regulation, which says that the Secretary General will call a committee of finance to look at things before he hands over to this. We challenge the Secretariat today to bring the whereabouts of the budget. They don't know where it is. They don't even know which one it is. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, let me declare and announce that the budget is lost. I might look like a madman. But that is the reality of the matter. If it is not in the council, if it is not the Secretariat, then F&A, which is not a provisional organ in this whole laws to have that budget, then, Mr. Speaker, is only to say it is a failure of Secretariat.
No budget.
This House needs to urge Secretariat to avail that budget to council early as possible.
Honorable Dr. Oburu, you are still on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, can I continue?
Yeah.
Now, yes, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to take a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, that is my concern, that up to today, there is no budget before the council. Now, Mr. Speaker, is it our job as the Assembly to look for that budget? Mr. Speaker, I believe that is not our job. Mr. Speaker, it is the job of the Council of Ministers, because they are the ones who can discipline the officers under them. Those officers don't answer to us. Mr. Speaker, so if that budget is not there, and they are the ones in charge, I think we are not going to recommend to you what to do, but I'm sure you, all of you, are very senior members of your government, and you know what to do in a situation like this. Because this document called the budget is the single most important policy document and the instrument for implementation of all programs and projects of the community. And the community cannot move without budget. So how do we explain even to the world, even to our development partners, that we are unable to make our own budget? That we are unable to produce a budget? Mr. Speaker, I think this is a very big shame, and I don't want to speak more than this, Mr. Speaker, but I'm quite ashamed because I have been a member of parliament for the last 24 years, and this is 2.5 years here, that is 26.5 years, and I have never, ever had a situation like this, because all the countries are functioning, all their budgets have been passed, and yet they are also under lockdown. So is this corona, this lockdown, only for EAC?
No.
I think corona did not come for EAC. It came for the whole of East Africa, and we should all be affected. And I think, Mr. Speaker, it is not right what we are doing here, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, and we cannot be asked to approve an illegality.
We cannot.
Well, thank you. Thank you, honorable members. Let's be orderly. Thank you very much, Dr. Oburu. Your experience in parliament is the age of some members here. That's enormous. Honorable Mariam.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Someone is calling. I don't see you.
Honorable Anjiko here.
Yes, it is Honorable Mariam first, then Honorable Anjiko.
I do not want to contribute. I want to bring to your attention a procedural issue.
Yes, please proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I'm referring to our new rules of virtual meetings, and I'm referring to rule number 6 of hours of virtual meeting, where it states that the meeting shall start at 10 and end at 5, and considering the time, I want you to allow me to make an amendment that time be extended until the business of the day is concluded. That means I'm moving a motion without a notice, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, seconders, Honorable Dr. Karinda and the other members. So the motion before the House is that we shall extend time until we conclude business. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those against, raise your hands. Those in favor have it. Let me clarify that end of business will mean that we close in time for our IT people to make their way home, those who are in the partner states where there is a lockdown. So it won't take long from now. Yes, Honorable Mariam on the floor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Am I heard? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I will not take long to contribute because I'm a member of GP. I would like to, we normally like to give other members time to contribute who are not members because we are all standing together on this. But as a member of GP who was in the meeting this morning, let me register on record my decision of not supporting the motion of giving the votes of accounts. And we had so many reasons which some of my colleagues have explained, but the main reason also was the illegality of it, and we cannot accept the accounts, the votes of the details of the budget without going through proper channels of council and then to the SG. The same Secretary General who yesterday told us he cannot break the laws of doing things he is tied up on. So we cannot break the law as well, put the votes of account on this. But also, Right Honorable Speaker, in those accounts, we were not even given details. They were just figures. it was being brought very unprofessionally to us to pass it. As a member of parliament, who goes with the rules, we cannot do that. So with heavy heart, as Honorable Uburu had said, because as myself, I have no record of opposing any motion, but I'm ready to put this on the record. Let it be first motion I oppose. I'm opposing this motion vehemently. And also in the details, in the morning, the DSG has explained to us that they actually have salary for staff and members for June and July, but also did not explain to us in details or any details, because as of yesterday, that his senior, the Secretary General, said that EAC has no money. So we have no clarity on what we were supposed to pass today. This is the main reason why we cannot pass it, and I'm not supporting the motion. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I don't see many members asking to speak, so I will invite Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, Honorable Jematia briefly, and then I invite the Council Chair to make his contribution, and then back to the committee.
Honorable Gideon is also raising his hand. I know he's.
Where are you, Honorable Gideon?
Yeah, he has been
yes.
raising his hand.
Even
Honorable
Uganda
Gideon,
is here.
I see you.
No. Even Uganda is here as well.
Yeah, but
here now we are on one.
We don't have, now I will allocate it to you 2 minutes each. Yes. All of you, you will have an opportunity 2 minutes each, so that, remember, honorable members, our colleagues, the IT staff, do not have diplomatic plate numbers. Some of them are stuck when they are going back home. But I will try to make sure everybody speaks, as long as after 2 minutes I switch off the mic. Yes, Honorable Fatum.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this. Honorable Speaker, I support the report of the committee in rejecting the proposal of the Secretariat or the SG. Honorable Speaker, I think Dr. Oburu, who is a seasoned technocrat and former Minister of Finance, has put it very well. What we are discussing is illegal. What we are discussing is not in line with our laws and regulations. Honorable Speaker, as a layman, a lay lady who reads this budget, I was asking myself, these figures, is it for buying, what is it for? Is it buying for animals or camels, or what is it for? It's not itemized, it's not specified. This is the figures.
That's true.
And the figures that are not attached with any
Program
explanation, or the project is supposed to do, or the program is supposed to. So somebody can just make an assumption that is to buy goats, camel, and anything else, even land, or even burying people during the COVID. Honorable Speaker, I think you need to rescue this house, because we don't want you to preside over illegality. And I want to speak to the chair of the council, who is new, and could be he's not used to this kind of predicament of an SG who is incapable of delivering what the law of East Africa Community has mandated him, the treaty, the Budget Act, and the financial regulations of EALA. Honorable Speaker, I don't know, we have been talking about failures of the Secretary General, and I am finding it's a rogue way of dealing with this kind of issue, and I don't know who will take him to account for delaying all this or embarrassing the community and the institution, and also making the situation worse. Honorable Speaker, I think what we should discuss now is how to deal with this rogue SG, not even to talk about this illegal document we are dealing with. And Honorable Speaker, I support, we reject this report, and we reject the manner it's presented, and allow the powers you have as the Speaker, since you have allowed them, and asking them to give you reasons for delayed submission of the budget, and there is no explanation for that. And now we are discussing the same thing you have refused. I think Chair Kulbi, you should use your powers to request our council member, who is the chair and who is also a member of EALA, to take drastic measures. First, to deal with this ROC SG, so that the work of East Africa Community Institution is not paralyzed. Honorable Speaker, I reject this kind of presentation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim.
Honorable Speaker, I'm here.
Yes, I will
Honorable
see you
Speaker.
later. I see you, Honorable Dr. Wala. Wait. Honorable Jematia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the time and the opportunity to say a word by, first of all, rejecting this motion and while supporting the report of the committee. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. For once again, being a member of the committee, we have had a lot of issues, but well elaborated by members who have spoken before me. But more so, Honorable Speaker, I just want to put it very in my own evolution that it is very unfortunate that we have arrived at this situation at this time where, as much as the world is dealing with crisis or pandemic, we have converged as members of East Africa to deal with our own pandemic in the name of a budget crisis caused by our own members, or of course the members because of the SG and the Secretariat. But more so painfully, Honorable Speaker, I feel so bad because we look so desperate even to accept the reality that the people who are requesting us to pass this, their own budget or the request of the budget, are not even there to give the moral support to us, to even give us the moral support to understand why they are giving us a vague, paper on vote of account. They are not even there to elaborate. Like members of the council, for God's sake, we only see the chair, courtesy of his own human heart, that he was able to be present, while all other members who have been there before should have been here to even support him because he's a new member. Look at it here. I sit in Nairobi today, and my minister is one step above me. I look so helpless because all of us members are willing to work, but the people who are even requesting us to do the budget are not even there. Secretary General, which I always say that is one member of EALA who is very moribund, laissez-faire, don't care attitude, very arrogant to some levels, because it deals with members and work of the community with an attitude that no one else can do.
He's a coronavirus of the community.
And he works as if he's his own boss, and it's high time members of the summit should be called for and to be told this member should be either either be struck off this job, because I don't think he wants it. Because at this level, we cannot be seeing the CTC, who is supposed to be acting on behalf of the Secretariat, and is only there to advise. For God's sake, what comes of us? We are members of East Africa is made up of 6 members of member states. I cannot imagine that it's only one member of council who can sit here and listen to us. We are so desperate. We are like jilted lovers. We are running over our exes because the people who are actually telling us to do what they want us to do, are not even there in the first place. So I feel a lot of pain, Honorable Speaker, because in all the things we are trying to do, it's like we are just echoing to our own, feelings and our own imagination. Something serious must be drawn up here. Either the chair of the council or the summit should be told that nothing is happening in the institution or in the region so far, courtesy of the secretary. If we cannot do a budget, a tool that is reflecting our own being in the region, then why are we here? For once, we have to tell ourselves the truth. Someone not only is failing, but he wants to drown all of us to the river, just like Honorable Wanjiku was saying yesterday. And we cannot be sitting here and presiding over someone's failure. Honorable Speaker, spare us this by allowing Section 12 of extension. Even if they have not given you the reasonable extension of time, please guide so that we are able to rescue this community, because we are not willing, and personally, I'm not ready to watch it going down during my time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. Honorable Gideon, and then Honorable Dr. Wada, then Honorable, is it Honorable Ross? The one with the mask like me? Okay.
Honorable Deng.
And the Honorable Deng, 2 minutes each. Dr.
Thank you,
Engineer
Right
will come
Honorable
back.
Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me make my short contribution. I want to start by opposing the motion brought forward by the Honorable Minister and trying to support the recommendation made by the Committee on the General Purpose. Honorable Speaker, it is my sincere belief that there is something the Council and the Secretariat are not telling us about the status of the continuity of the EAC integration project. Something must be there that they don't want to tell us, because there is no justification why the Secretariat and the Council would fail to present budget estimate to the 30th of June 2020. Unless something that they know and they don't want to tell us exists. And that is my belief, that there must be something that they don't want to tell us. Right Honorable Speaker, the budget has, from the explanation given by the Chair of General Purpose Committee, Honorable Abdi Kadir, is lying somewhere with the F&A. Who is supposed to ask F&A question to bring the budget? It is the Council. Who is to remind the Council that the budget has stuck somewhere? It is the Secretariat. So these two organs in our treaty have a bigger contribution to the failure that we are going to experience. My worry is this, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, we have recommended, through the recommendation of the committee, that you have the authority to extend the time for the budget to be brought to the Assembly and be discussed, then so that we have the budget passed and the community will proceed with the activities. But with this uncertainty that we don't even know where is the budget, how will you determine the time needed for you now to extend? So that we have at least, do we extend it indefinitely? Do you have any hope that this F&A or the Secretariat or the Council will give you time so that you can be able to say 3 months, 10 months, or 9 months? What will be the fate of the community within that time? So, Right Honorable Speaker, these are the questions I want to ask. I want to thank you very much. I submit. Thank you. And I really support the recommendation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gideon. Honorable Dr. Oda.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I really want to congratulate the Council, the member of the Council who is the chair of the Council. And I really appreciate his honesty in admitting that they don't have the budget estimates. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll not speak too much because my other colleagues have added and said about the Budget Act and what is supposed to be done from October, April. By then, even coronavirus was not there. But I'm so concerned, if I'm not mistaken, from the report of the chair of the GP, who really did very well, and the committee did very well under this very short time and under pressure. He stated that even the CTC is advising the committee that it will be illegal if the Assembly passed this budget without receiving the budget estimate for the financial year 2020-2021. Right Honorable Speaker, I really want to appreciate all the members of this Assembly and the staff of the community, because we have been working under very hard circumstances without having our emolument for 3 months, and we are still ready to work. But Right Honorable Speaker, unless the budget estimate for 2020 and 2021 is presented as soon as possible to this assembly, I raise to oppose the motion requesting the vote on this account. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wada. Honorable Rose, then Honorable Mary Mugenyi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to start by, first of all, clearly stating right from the onset that I oppose this motion for a vote on account because it is illegal, first of all. It's an illegality as advised by the CTC, and therefore it has no basis, even in law. We are engaging in a speculative process, Right Honorable Speaker. And I think this is really very unfortunate. I also want to thank the Chair Council for being honest. You are one of a rare kind. I want to appreciate you for that, because we are experiencing a very difficult time where perhaps the Secretariat would have expected you to talk otherwise, but we are happy you are being honest. Right Honorable Speaker, there is no emergency. There will be no shutdown. First of all, the Budget Act is very clear and it is very definitive. It says the Council shall, it's an obligation. It's an obligation in law. Budget Act Section 4(1). Council shall not later than 30th day of April each financial year submit and lay before the Assembly the budget of the community for the next financial year. Right Honorable Speaker, as we consider this illegality here, we have not even received an explanation from the Secretary General who is supposed to drive this process as to why we have not been able to have this budget laid before the Assembly in accordance with the provisions of the Budget Act. So we also need that explanation. Even when they bring the budget estimates finally, we need an explanation as to why they have not been able to act in accordance with the provisions of the law. So the assumption here, Right Honorable Speaker, when you proceed and look at Section 6 of the Budget Act, is that vote on account is only possible on assumption that the budget process is on. That Section 6(1) of the Budget Act on vote on account assumes the budget process is on, and therefore vote on account can only happen before approval. It also assumes that the budget process spills over to July, and that is that approval was not able before 30th June. So because the financial year begins on 1st July, we are therefore allowed by the law to give vote on account. But in this case, Right Honorable Speaker, we don't have budget estimates before us. In fact, Council doesn't have those budget estimates. So it is very unfortunate. Right Honorable Speaker, I really want to request the Chair Council to pick interest and even brief his colleagues on the actions of the Office of the Secretary General, Right Honorable Speaker. One, he has failed to lay this budget as required by law. Two, there are also reports that the Secretary General is supposed to bring to Parliament and lay before us. In fact, on reports on performance of the community. He is supposed to be bringing these reports before Parliament, but I've never seen any. I've not seen any yet since this Parliament began. Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak today, our staff, over 20 staff in the community, their contracts are expiring today. And these staff are still working. What are we going to do first of all, as a community, and then also the Assembly? First of all, we are constrained, we don't have staff. Now, more of our staff, the contracts have expired. How do you work under such conditions? And it is the Secretary General who has the duty to look into this and ensure that staff contracts are renewed before the expiry. The timelines are given, but nothing is done. So I really request the Chair Council
to look into this matter. Look into the matter of the budget process, why we're not getting reports from the Secretary General, and why we have staff contracts expiring and nobody seems to be bothered about it. Right Honourable Speaker, as a way forward, there is our rules of procedure of the Assembly.
Please,
Rule 11.
Yes.
Rule 11
Please
hours
conclude.
of the meeting. Rule 11.5, Right Honourable Speaker, gives you all the authority and reads, the Speaker may, if he or she thinks fit, call a sitting of the House before the date or time to which it has been adjourned, or at any time after the House has been adjourned sine die. So, Right Honourable Speaker, when Council is ready with the budget estimates, you have the latitude in accordance with our rules of procedure and also Section 12 of the Budget Act to actually call this House back to consider the budget estimates. So there's still time.
Thank you.
Then
Thank you, Honourable.
secondly,
You have
the
to conclude.
resources that are there, which are available, are still available for ESC institutions to expand up to September. So there's no crisis. There'll be no shutdown, Right Honourable. So as
Thank
I
you so
conclude, I
much.
want to thank the committee for this report. I support the recommendations of the committee. And as I conclude, I also want to say that I do not support the proposal for us to have a vote on account because it is an illegality. Right Honourable, I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Mary Muyenyi.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Can you hear me, Mr. Speaker? Sir?
I can hear you, Honourable Mary.
Yes. Right Honourable Speaker, thank you so much for this opportunity. I realize we are pressed by time. But I would like to add my voice to my colleagues who have called for non-support to the proposal by the Chair of the Council of Ministers. Mr. Speaker, I'm on record for urging my colleagues to make sure that we protect our image as EALA 4. The world is watching us now. We know that the media is listening in. Everything that we do, at least African community peoples are aware of what we are doing and they take interest. Mr. Speaker, there are no budget estimates on which we can pass the vote on account. Therefore, like many other colleagues have said, if we passed this request by the minister, we will have committed an illegality. I am not going to be part of that. And really, it bothers me why the East African Community Secretariat takes matters so of importance, like a budget. I mean, a budget is one of the most important aspects of any institution function. Why would you take this matter so lightly to the extent that you want to ask a parliament to do something that you know is illegal? I therefore want to support my colleagues and more especially the General Purpose Committee on their recommendations that we don't pass this budget and we make sure that there is no shutdown. The law allows us that room for us to adjust. Mr. Speaker, you have all the powers. Extend the time and let the due process be done so that we do something that is right on behalf of the people that we represent. Let's set a record.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Clark, when do the IET people have to leave the room? Mr. Clark, if you can tell me.
It is 5 o'clock, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes. Now, Council Chair, please respond.
Speaker.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I think I appreciate your contribution, members of the EALA. And of course, I wish the SG was allowed to hear this because I think I was misled. And I'm going to make sure that the council meets as soon as possible, gets you the estimates of the budget as soon as next week. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable.
Are you
Honorable
taking
Chair,
contributions or
Honorable
not?
Abdi Kadir.
What
Thank
happened
you,
with the
thank
rest
you,
of the people who were supposed to speak?
thank you, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the honorable members very much for their support and indulgence. I'm honestly, truly very appreciative of the of the comprehension of the matters at hand by the members. Members seem to understand really the gist of this and have debated in a very detailed manner. And I know there are many other members who wished to debate on this should time has given. Honorable Speaker, the issues raised, one correction on the report on page, for the sake of our clerk, on page 2, on background, where it started at its sittings held on 29th, not 28th. That correction, that amendment by Honorable Chris is noted, is carried, and will accordingly be adjusted.
And that 2019.
Okay.
Which mentions
And honorable Speaker, the other one I want to also do is to really thank the Chair Council on his commitment to bring the estimates before the House next week. Let me, Honorable Speaker, say that the committee is ready to support vote on account as long as it comes legally through the procedure. When estimates are tabled, if during the time of consideration of that budget, Council feels that there is need for appropriation on vote on account, then we will be within the provisions of the law. Article 6 will now be relevant to be invoked by Council, and that is what will happen to that. Second thing I want to, Honorable Speaker, on this particular matter with regards to the estimates to the Chair Council. Secondly, we challenged today the Secretariat on the issue of which estimates do you intend to table before Council? And there was a really confusion in that area. Honorable Speaker, during the time of our engagement with Council, the day I presented here, I passionately pleaded with Chair Council that for the sustainability of the community's programs as they are, because they were already overburdened by under-resourced. And I take the example of the courts, the East African Courts of Justice have a large number of court cases which have not been listened to, which the reason is there are no resources, there are no funds to allow the courts to sit. For that reason, I want to urge the Chair Council. There is an, let me use the word, adulterated estimates, which is being purported here by this, what has been brought before us today.
This paper.
The 88 million. This house is not in view of that. Why? Because the House had asked this committee to participate in what was called a pre-budget conference, which we did on behalf of the House, which we looked at the estimates that were appropriate for the community. Every institution of the community presented them. We listened to them. We agreed that was not this 88 million. I may not be able to quote you the exact figure, but it was about a figure of about 110 million or 111 million, 118 million. I'm being corrected here for the community, which means status quo of things as they were in the last budget. I hope Chair Council can remember this discussion we had with you on your first day when we were updating you on the issue of these estimates. So on that, please, as they bring you, be informed with that. Because this House or this certainly with that is going to be a bit of an issue. Concerned that Mr. Honorable Speaker, the issue of payment of emolument, I want to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker. I am duly informed, and I have said this before, sitting the position of Chair of Budget. I am privileged to have detailed information. Some of them are not necessarily informal tableable documents, but let me say that in research we call them anecdotal evidence. Evidence that is confirmed to be true, but that necessarily is not before the House now. Honorable Speaker, members and staff of the Assembly of the EAC have not been paid their due emoluments for quite some time now. While we know, or I personally am informed reliably and can be able to prove that through a due process of the House, that the senior officers of the Secretariat have been receiving their DSAs from April, May, and June. Honorable Speaker, why the double standard?
Shame.
Honorable Speaker, indeed,
shame.
And I said this, the first assignment that the Committee on Accounts is going to have next week, the moment they are put into place formally, I mean, the end of the month, I think the 30th of the month, when the other one lapses, or even the current chair can take over that issue, there is an urgent need to investigate if that is true, that double standard in payment of DSA. Then there is a serious issue of lack of appropriate fairness in the EAC. The Secretariat or the Secretary General had issued a written instruction that there were going to be no meetings to be held in the Secretariat or in the EAC or by its Secretariat in physical forms. What were these meetings that were being held outside of Arusha in different parts of the Republic of Tanzania? And I can present myself before a committee and can be able to argue with this, the Secretariat, to prove. Time will prove. We are members, many of us are members of the Accounts Committee. We will have that as an audit query at us and when the time comes. Right, Honorable Speaker, let me say that I conclude on this particular matter by saying, Honorable Council Chair, please treat this issue as an emergency. The Assembly has been put through a very difficult time, particularly the Speaker. I have seen him, because I'm the chair budget, since April. The Speaker got concerned and will get in touch with me literally every other day to say, have we received estimates? Are estimates coming our way? Where are they? Until he had to write, he had to summon, he had to speak to you as council and everybody. And today here we are facing an unprecedented crisis whereby the community has no budget and it is the last day of the month. Right, Honorable Council Chair, if this cannot be an issue to raise an immediate emergency meeting for the EAC Council of Ministers to meet tomorrow, not day after tomorrow, to meet tomorrow, then I don't know what else will be a crisis. Seriously speaking, and I will be very concerned, Council Chair, if this matter and the status of the standoff of the budget of the community has not been informed to the summit members. Read the history of the EAC. One of the troubles of the collapse of the old EAC had to do something to do with the budget, like a situation like this. Let's be very careful and not joke with this issue. Honorable Speaker, the persons responsible, I don't want to say a specific individual, the persons responsible who have put the community in this difficult situation must answer to the community as to why we are in the situation where we are. And why are they harassing the council chair and the council members? Honorable Speaker, having said that, let me take this opportunity to overemphasize the need to look at what Honorable Rose Akol has said here. Very, very true. Issue to do with staff contracts that have expired. What happens? We are literally moving into a period of unknown illegalities, and if they go now, all these systems of ours will be shut down. Nobody will support us, even including the Hansard reporter seated here with us has no contract beyond today. Honorable Speaker, the issue of emolument for this staff who have been with us all this period of time in this difficult time of COVID-19. Honorable Speaker, there is no shame in stating that it is a statutory right for members to be paid their due emoluments as and when they have performed the duties that follow them. So I really echo the Honorable Rosa call. Having said that, I want to thank the members who contributed to this debate: Honorable Makame, Honorable Fancy Nkui, Honorable Noor, Honorable Dr. Oburu, Honorable Mariam, Honorable Fatuma, Honorable Florence Jamatia, Honorable Gideon, Honorable Rosa Cole, and Honorable Mary, and Honorable Dr. Waburu. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
And Honorable
Chair.
Speaker, I forgot to say one thing. I want the members to be duly guided as you put the question on this matter. Because we have agreed on this report, we are voting no against this motion. Because there is a tendency to believe that always we are used to saying the ayes. But today is the point, because we are not voting against the committee report, we are voting against the motion to request to grant the House to go into a committee of ways and means to consider and approve this estimate. So we are voting no on this particular motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for that. Of course, the question will be about
before you put the question. Honorable.
Yes, Honorable.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I think because I will not have any other time, I just want to raise a point of order, seeking your guidance as a speaker, because there are issues which are really very difficult in this assembly. I want to know the status of the so-called ex-officios. Ex-officios are members of this assembly. And Honorable Speaker, Rules of Procedure 93, leave of the absence. Rule of Procedure 93.1. Every member shall, during the session of the Assembly or any special sitting, attend the sitting of the House unless leave of absence has been granted to him or her by the Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there's a tendency of ex-officials absenting themselves even during critical time when their presence are required. And I think where I came from, the background of legislation or parliament, where I come from, the practice is that even the committees of the House has the powers of the High Court, that they can summon any witness, and they have any reason
Honorable Speaker, I beg your
Honorable Speaker,
we need to first dispose of the motion.
Yes, Honorable, I have gotten your point.
There's no any other business
your point.
that I can have time to raise.
Okay.
Yes, I have no any other business time to raise, Honorable Speaker, because that's why I'm just interrupting, and I'm asking for your indulgence to guide the House on this issue of the absence of the ex-officials. What can be done? Because
thank you, Honorable. I will comment about your issue after we dispose of the motion.
Thank you.
So, honorable members, I now put the question. I put the question, and the motion on the floor is that this assembly do resolve to constitute itself into a committee of supply to approve a vote on account to cater for the first quarter expenses of the EAC for the financial year 2020-2021. Those in favor, raise your hands. Those against, raise your hands. Those against, have it.
Hero is not raised. Yeah, but he says.
Therefore, the motion has been defeated. I have seen you. Those against, have it. So the motion has been defeated. First of all, thank you,
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Committee, and the Council Chair for the work you have done and the quality of the report that had to be generated in a very short time. We really appreciate the efforts you put in. Now, I also want to make a few comments. You have spoken passionately, and it's very unfortunate that most of you wanted to speak, but you couldn't get time. You have spoken about the illegality of the document and the procedural way it has been brought to our attention, the letter. Now, I am struggling with whether I am partly to blame or not, but let me tell you the situation. I advised the Secretary General yesterday, no, on Sunday, that we needed to do something about this situation. But we had only 2 days remaining, and we have to do something. I was appealing to both of them, the council chair, the secretariat, please do something in the assembly. We are there and we are willing to help. But we don't see you. So come forward and ask us how we can help with the situation. Actually, we didn't discuss the details of how, but I did make that appeal to the council and to the secretaries on record, because I was concerned that with the 2 days remaining, nothing was happening. So I may not take blame on the procedure that we used. I think it is because everyone was in the rush to do something. Everyone was rushing. The SCG was rushing, the secretary, the council chair, and myself, and I was actually putting a bit of pressure. Where is the request? The House wants to help, but where are you? So that was the situation. But I want to repeat this to you. This assembly doesn't want to cause trouble. And what members have decided, I'm sure they have decided so painfully. No one wants a situation like this to happen for the first time during our mandate. But it should be discouraged that council or any organ of the community looks for every excuse to stop the process. Yes, we know we had unfortunate situations happening in some of our partner states, but the law of the community does not have a lacuna on how to address a situation in every situation. If there is a council member who cannot attend a meeting, partner states are allowed to delegate any senior official to attend a meeting. Even in the most tragic situation like we have seen, even governments in those partner states continued to function. Some of you have spoken clearly. There is not a single partner state that has failed to pass their own budget on time. Then why is it that the budget of the EAC is taken as a secondary detail that can be attended to at a later point when everyone is comfortable to do that? Why? Why didn't these same ministers fail to meet their own parliaments to pass their own budget? Why didn't it happen? So we are all managing the community that was put in place by our senior leaders. We have the treaty. Who wants this community to collapse in your hands? So I really wanted to commend you because you have made a very big statement. Yes, someone who has been sleeping on their job and they must be woken up to do their job. Why did I have to remind you that we have only 2 days remaining? Why did I have to remind you? I should have stayed here and wait for you to come. But the fact that I had to remind the council, to remind the secretariat that we have 2 days remaining. So we are really not being troublesome. But it is very, very wrong that the community is being put in this situation because for 2 months or more, council could not meet. Council should have met virtually like we are doing it, because even if there was some reluctance to work the way we have been working, but it is working. You should have met. Council should have met instead of looking for some excuses to make it impossible for the council to meet. So we hope this anomaly is going to be corrected as soon as possible. So way forward, I'm going to grant this extension, although my request to know how much extension you need has not been given, but I will go ahead and do it anyway. Today, I will grant that extension. But in the hope that council will meet as soon as possible. because I need to remind the council and the secretary that this house can go beyond just waiting for the budget estimate. There is a lot more they can do to make the process moving. There is a lot more that can be done to hold the people responsible for what they are not doing and they are supposed to do. So, honorable members, I will call the meeting of the commission to plan in the face of the uncertainty we are facing. We'll have to do a roadmap of what happens next week, because this was supposed to be, actually this is the last day of our plenary, but given the situation, the commission will guide in the coming days what will happen after. And according to the program you have, tomorrow there was some activity that take place, but I'm informed that technically it won't be possible. We will not be able to use these facilities for the reason that we cannot avoid. So when the commission meets on Friday, I suggest they meet on Friday, we will guide on when the committees will convene to perform the activity that they were supposed to perform tomorrow. So on that note, I adjourn the House sine die, and I wish you well for the time we will be away until we meet again.
That one is what's up?